Safe driving tips that could save your life Part 1. No one will admit to being a terrible driver, but we've all, at one point or another, tried multitasking while driving behind the wheel on the road. Most of us have also gone on long road trips by car. So, to help improve the safety of you, your passenger and other road users, we've put together a comprehensive list of safe driving tips to keep in mind next time you decide drive. Basic safe driving tips everyone should know. Start by inspecting your vehicle's headlights and turn signals. Be sure that both front and rear headlamps are working properly and visible enough a couple of yards away. Do not ignite the vehicle as soon as you get into the car. Take a moment to check if the mirrors in your seat are in position. If either mirror needs adjustments, simply place your head on the driver's window and adjust the left mirror until the left end of the car is visible. To adjust the right mirror, tilt your head to the center of the vehicle and adjust the mirror to get a better view of the right end of the car. When you return to your natural sitting position, you will not see either end of the vehicle, but your blind spots will be reduced. Seems like an obvious one, however you'd be surprised how many of us fail to keep our mobile phones at bay whilst driving. And drivers using a mobile phone are 4 times more likely to crash their vehicle. Mobile devices are one of the biggest distractions to drivers because they demand full attention, manual, visual, and cognitive, causing you to take your hands off the steering wheel, your eyes off the road, and your mind off the road. If you happen to be a passenger in a moving vehicle operated by a distracted driver, you need to intervene as they are putting the occupants of the vehicle at risk. If you look far ahead, focus your attention on the road, and keep your eyes sharp, you will easily spot potential hazards. Drive at a controllable speed. Stay focused on the road and remove all distractions such as mobile phone use, unstrapped toddlers, etc. Sometimes, you could be driving as safe as possible, obeying all traffic rules and speed limits, and someone crashes into you. When you're driving, it doesn't hurt to assume everyone else on the road is an idiot. Be prepared for sudden stops, tailgating, swerving, unsignaled turns, and every other imaginable bad driving behavior. You need to be fully focused while driving, but all that focus need not be on the car before you. This way, you can tell if you'll need to let go of the gas pedal and prepare for a stop. Since you cannot read the intention of the driver in front of you, don't tailgate. Maintain some distance between your car and the car ahead in order to give yourself enough response time should the car ahead make a sudden turn or stop. This simply means you should look ahead for a stationary object. As soon as the car ahead of yours passes the object, start counting the seconds until you pass the same object. You can increase this to 7 or 8 seconds when driving at night or in bad weather. Larger vehicles such as trucks and buses, due to their raised driver's seat position, have a blind spot known as the no zone. Since the drivers of these vehicles cannot see certain areas around the vehicle, tailgating these vehicles of driving directly ahead of them is risky. While following these vehicles, make sure you can see the driver through his mirror, and honk often so they know you're there. To stay out of the large blind spot in front of these vehicles, always make sure the entire front of the vehicle is visible in your rearview mirror. They're designed to reduce commotions and accidents by regulating the flow of traffic, and they work best when everyone sticks to the rules. Be extra cautious in bad weather, increase the space between your vehicle and the one ahead, consider driving below the speed limit, and be alert around curves. If the driving conditions worsen, consider waiting it out in a safe place. When the visibility is affected, either by fog or snow, and you decide to park by the side of the road, make sure to turn off your lights. Drivers also struggling with the poor visibility will be on the lookout for other cars to follow, and they might not realize in time that yours is stationary. A sleeping driver will drift off the road even on a relatively straight highway. Add trees, ravines, utility pole, and other cars to the equation, and dozing off for a couple of seconds increases your risk of getting in an accident. At highway speed, the result of a few seconds of sleep can be even deadlier. Make sure you follow a sleep routine, or you can aim for a solid 6 to 8 hours of sleep on a regular basis. If you're driving and feel a bit groggy, don't try to fight it. Using mobile phones while driving is illegal in most countries. The reason is that it reduces the driver's reaction time by 20%. Other than mobile phones, eating, fiddling with GPS or other electronic devices, applying makeup, or interacting with passengers also distract a driver's focus from the road. At higher speeds, the risk of crashing your vehicle increases. Research shows that the likelihood of being involved in a car crash increases by 4 to 5% for every mile per hour you travel. For short trips around town, driving at 10 miles per hour will save you a couple of minutes while increasing the likelihood of crashing by up to 50%. Reaction time, coordination and inhibitions reduce even at low blood alcohol levels, which can cause the best drivers to make foolish choices. At higher levels, coordination is close to zero. I mean, you can't even walk in a straight line, your vision gets blurry or doubled and there's the risk loss of consciousness. Also keep road flare, flashlight with a pair of fresh batteries, jumper cables, drinking water, and a phone charger in your vehicle in case you need to dial 911 or roadside assistance. Safe driving tips that could save your life Part 2. Tips for driving safely at night. If you have difficulty seeing, be sure that your light isn't blocked. If you have an older car with plastic covers, make sure they are still transparent enough to let light through. The light emitted by most dashboard LEDs and large infotainment screens fitted in modern vehicles can be a source of unnecessary distraction and can also diminish your vision. Dimming dash lights will reduce the amount of light reflected off of the windshield, thereby resulting in improved nighttime visibility. Fashion or prescription glasses can become another source of distracting light for drivers. That's why it is important to choose glasses that improve nighttime visibility. Sometimes even high beams fail to illuminate much. One way you can avoid large animals such as deer, moose, and elk when driving at night is to catch your headlights reflecting off the eyes of these animals. You'll spot them as tiny bright spots far ahead, thereby giving you ample time to slow down or come to a stop. When driving at night, your eyes get used to the dim glow of the dashboard and the road ahead, which makes it easy to be disrupted by bright headlights. If you have to, shield your eyes with one palm or turn your gaze away from oncoming high beams. Just as the name suggests, fog lights illuminate the fog and help the driver see the road better. Since fog often floats a few feet above the road, these lights are aimed as low as possible. Any higher and it will create glare in the fog and confuse oncoming drivers. Even when it's not foggy, these lights can still be useful because they illuminate wider and farther than typical low beams. Be sure to confirm the legality of any auxiliary lamps before installing them, as some are only meant to supplement your high beams while many others can only be used off-road. The reason is that light beam from LEDs or a high-intensity discharge (HID) source can be like as bright as daylight, but after a while, your eyes get used to the brightness. Then when you turn off the extra light, your eyes will need as much as 30 seconds to adjust to now dim-looking low beam. Dirty mirrors and windshield produce the same distracting effect on drivers. Smeared mirrors can produce glare in your eyes when they diffuse the light from cars behind you into various shapes. And then to protect your eyes from the headlights of cars behind you, aim the mirrors downwards. This way you can move your head away from the light or tip forward to see the cars behind you. Doctors often recommend moving your eyes and scanning around instead of focusing straight ahead to reduce the effect of eye fatigue and glare while driving at night. If your eyes are feeling strained from use and cannot perceive road situations correctly, there's nothing the cleanest windshield or the brightest headlight can do to help. Your best bet while driving around this time is to stay alert for sleepy drivers on the road. Take some caffeine to keep yourself alert, or pull over someplace safe to rest your eyes or make a stop for the night. Make use of your headlights to gauge if your distance from the next car is safe. If you cannot bring the car to a gradual stop without flooring the brake pedal, then you're following too close. High beams are really helpful in open roads or rural areas. They let you see far up the road and prepare for a swerve or to reduce your speed in response to conditions ahead. Just make sure you dim them when you are closing in or following another car. They'll be grateful for the gesture. If you're shopping for a new car, we recommend you go for the ones with adaptive technology that dims the headlights depending on the presence of other vehicles. Scan the road ahead for anything that will alert you of oncoming drivers, such as glimmers of light at bends or light at the top of a hill. They can be difficult to spot, especially when there's nothing reflecting the light back. Long-distance driving has a way of eating away at your attentiveness. That's why it is recommended to take regular breaks to refresh your mind, more so if you're driving at night. You can make a stop every 2 hours and simply walk around the car a couple of times while sipping your coffee to wake your mind. Your reaction time after a tiring day at the office will be greatly reduced. Taking your eyes off the road even for a split second is what it is, inviting trouble. Long driving tips. This also involves planning your route and plotting possible motorable diverts you can take. Using your GPS or maps, figure out where you can stop for refills, food, and resting spots along the way. Check the weather reports to know what to expect on the road, and also keep in touch with someone at your destination so they know where you are at all times. Make sure you get a good night's rest a night or two before you leave because fatigue on the open road is very dangerous. If you are making the journey very early in the morning, ensure you sleep earlier than you normally would the night before. You can easily reduce how tired long-distance driving makes you feel by sharing the driving with someone else. Your ability to focus on the road while driving long-distance journey will depend on how comfortable you are. Place a pillow behind your lower back if they tend to hurt when you sit for long, since your arms and part of your legs will be exposed for most of the journey. Be sure to apply sunblock before you leave and every 2 hours after that to reduce the risk of sunburn. Many drivers rely on cruise control for the most part of a long trip and for good reason. They make the journey endurable. If you are using cruise control, make it short and try to keep your focus on the road ahead. One way you can increase your chances of arriving at your destination in one piece is to follow driving rules. Obey speed limits, know when it is okay to overtake and honk before you do so, and also make sure everyone is buckled in. Safe driving tips that could save your life, Part 3. During the dry season, engine oil and grease from passing cars build up on roads and highways. The first rains are notorious for one thing, making the road incredibly slick as the water mixes with the motor fluid. This slick mixture reduces friction between tire and the asphalt, which is why drivers are advised to drive at a low speed. The chances of getting involved in an accident while speeding increases on wet roads, and that's because wet roads aren't effective at helping a speeding car to come to a halt as a dry road will. If the forecast predicts a wet day or it's the rainy season, always leave the house 15 to 20 minutes earlier than usual to give yourself additional travel time so you won't feel the need to hurry. Wet roads reduce friction between tire and asphalt, thereby making your vehicle take longer to grind to a halt. We recommend putting up a safe following distance between your vehicle and the one ahead of you. A distance you can cover in 8 to 10 seconds will allow enough time to identify and respond to road hazard. If you practice safe driving habits, you will have little need to slam on the brakes and risk getting rear-ended. When you need to slow down or stop on wet roads, go easy on the brake pedal, smoothly and earlier than you normally would. This reduces your risk of skidding off the road or into the car ahead of you. Driving with cruise control on wet roads could actually speed up your car if you hydroplane. Besides that, when you use cruise control, chances are you may not be as alert as you need to be. Since you have no way of knowing how deep a puddle is, it is best to drive around them or take a different route if necessary. The reason is that water and electrical systems don't get along, and sometimes a seemingly shallow puddle may float your car. Your wiper blades need to be in good condition to clear water from your screen or risk distorting your view and distracting you. Be liberal with the windscreen washer and avoid following large vehicles closely so you don't get obstructive splash and spray on your screen. A few raindrops can make your car less visible to oncoming vehicles. Consider turning on your headlights to help them see you in time. However, do not use high beams when it is raining to reduce distractive diffusion the rain creates. Fog buildup on the windshield distracts the driver's attention and also reduces the visibility of the road. When driving in the city or road with pedestrians, you need to be extra watchful. If you can barely make out the car ahead of you because of the rain, then you need to find a safe place, away from the road, and wait for the storm to subside. If your vehicle begins to hydroplane, don't panic and slam the brake or turn the steering wheel. Instead, slowly ease off the gas pedal and steer straight until your vehicle regains traction with the road. Not every driver has the proper training to handle adverse driving conditions, so don't assume you know what the other driver wants to do. Better to anticipate their movements. Be very cautious where water has flooded onto the road. It is not advisable to drive through moving water if you cannot see the bottom of it. Do not try forcing the vehicle to start, you might hydrolock and ruin your engine if water gets into the cylinders. Highway driving safety tips. When driving through the streets, new drivers have a tendency to stare straight ahead all the time, but highway driving requires that you also keep an eye on what's happening on all sides of the car. Reading and using signal lights are a very important driving skill, more so on the highway. Since neither you nor the driver ahead and behind you can read minds, always use your blinker to communicate with other drivers, and please signal 4 to 8 seconds before you make a move. It is important to maintain a safe distance prior to changing lanes and also ensure you check for any car coming up in your blind spot. When you join the highway from an entry ramp, ensure your signal light is on before taking any gap you see, and when you join the highway increase your speed to match that of the highway traffic. If you want to exit the highway, use your signal light so other drivers understand your intention, and then slow down as you enter the exit ramp. If you are learning to drive on the highway or trying to improve your confidence, it is recommended to do so after rush hour. Choose a time when the weather is conducive and there are fewer cars on the road. Stay in the right lane if you're not yet comfortable driving at high speed. If you are not comfortable driving on the highway, don't do it, keep learning on the streets. When you feel it's time to move to the highway, follow the last 2 tips and have an experienced driver or professional with you. If you ever get involved in an accident while driving on the interstate, pulling as far off the road as possible will help to prevent more damage to you or other drivers. Who knows, a distracted driver may not realize on time that your car is stationary if you stop on the side of the road. Safe driving tips for seniors. Physical activity improves your flexibility and strength, which in turn can improve your safety while driving by making it easier to turn the steering wheel, look around or over your shoulder, and make other movements. Work with your physician and follow instructions for managing any chronic conditions that may impact your safety behind the wheel, especially seizures or diabetes. You could also adjust or change your vehicle to a model that helps you avoid collisions, manage your blind spot, safely change lanes, and more. Driver safety is higher during the daytime and in good weather. Being distracted while driving exposes you to risk. If you plan to use a GPS device, then key in your destination before you move the car. Do the same to your stereo. Consider taking a refresher course to update your driving skills so you and others can stay safe.